Editor Newware here. Listen, you guys, these video interviews are long. And to be fair, all of them are long. I mean, I've had ones that were an hour to 4 hours long. So I'm breaking them up. However, I couldn't tell you how many videos this particular interview is going to be in, but I try to break them up between 20 and 30 minutes. So I'll leave a link in the description for the playlist for this interview, as well as the sequence in which this interview video is. I hope you guys enjoy, so let's just hop right back into it. Welcome back to Chocolate Espresso Podcast. Again, as you know or don't know, I'm your host, Thomas Newware. Whatever floats your fancy. I'm not tripping. Do me a favor, though. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. And if you do, I love you like I love my first worm I've ever dug out of the ground. Cousins, brothers, uncles, grandmas, doubters, sons. First bunny, if they ever had one. But just as much as that, very close to me, because that one worm fed me for a day. Let that sink in. So today, as you know, or may not know, this is a part of the interviewing process I like to do. Here on Chocolate Espresso, we try to share a lot of what a lot of younger people, I like to call them the youth. We try to get them to come in, share what they do, pass the knowledge along. You know, I see a lot of interviews out there and podcasts and videos, but a lot of people don't ask the core questions that really do matter. I'm trying to reach out to the youth. You know, college is great. It's highly recommended. I like to say it's great if you know what you want to do. It's great if you know what you need to go to, and it's great if you know the process that takes to get there. But if college isn't the best option for you, there are other opportunities available. So I'm trying to share that knowledge for other paths for people who either went to college and then didn't even use the degree, started businesses and other things of that nature. And I'm trying to get people to realize that, hey, this is how you do it. This is where you need to go. These are the tools you're going to need to utilize. So as you know, or don't know, but what you're about to find out is I always let these guys introduce themselves, because trust me, they will do a lot better job than me. So I'm going to pass the buck.
What's good? My name is Jahbri Merritt. 31 years of age. I own a food business. It's called Chef with the Love for Midwestern Cuisine. I've been operating now for 3 years, and it actually changed name quite a couple of times in the last 3 years. So it's been a journey. It's been a process. I am not only an entrepreneur and do food / catering with that business, but outside of being an entrepreneur, I also am a chef in real life with my 9 to 5 in my career. So a lot of cooking, a lot of whipping in the pot, things of that nature, day in and day out. So everything food related, everything health and wellness, and good recipes and all that, and, that I am well endorsed into it. So thank you for having me on here. I'm glad to be here. And yeah, man, let's get to it.
Nah, man, seriously. Thank you for coming out. It's kind of hard sometimes finding people, and it's amazing when I get people that want to be here and kind of help share the knowledge. So, as you guys know, are about to find out, I like to jump right into it because, there's a lot that we got to get through, and I want to make it short form content, but I want to make sure I'm packing it with a lot of information. So I'm going to pass the first conversation to you, right? Okay. I'm curious, what got you into it? Well, where did this come from?
So what got me into it is not like the fairy tale story you normally hear about, like all my life I always wanted to be a businessman, things of that nature. There's not a single entrepreneur that I know in my family come from that. So it actually started with, in the end of 2019, I was working in the St. Paul Public School District for the youth. It was my 8th year, and I knew that I wanted to do something more. It's not that I didn't like what I was doing, but I knew that I wanted to come back to it at a later time while I was more well-versed and well-experienced. And I knew that I didn't want to be at the helm of that in the earlier ages of my life. So opportunity for entrepreneurship came up with my food businesses. I ran into a chef who I respect and know and love and appreciate. Her name is Chef Lachelle, and she was a former teacher at St. Paul College. This is before I even enrolled in the St. Paul College, because I enrolled that following year. And she had just left, but she was still in and out of the building at St. Paul College. So she owned a restaurant on Broadway called Breaking Bread Cafe. Even though they have moved locations, they are no longer there as of today. She is still practicing entrepreneurship, and now she's one of the head honchos of NDC. And the NDC building is located in the Frogtown area, just a little ways down here on Dale. And I took an entrepreneurship class in 2022, I believe, and I finished later that year in 2022. So I graduated in that class, so my entrepreneurship class. But I know I'm kind of jumping on the timeline a little bit here, but I, it's just the process of how I got started was just kind of exploring what entrepreneurship was like, getting out there, going to events, trying to see how not only was it just about making money, but expressing my creativity, taking the talents and resources that I did have and trying to see how I can utilize those and, put something together that was really important to me that will not only make money, but be impactful to the clientele that I'm going to be serving. So before it became a food business, it was actually a cooking class business in 2020. It was a mobile cooking class. It was called Future Chefs of the Twin Cities. So my job was to take my skills and go around from house to house. I had applications. I had people to sign up for it. They signed their children up for it. And I would come in and do house visits and teach them how to cook meals. And we would come in the kitchen. I would teach them how to cook a meal. And that was per service. So if they want to do it again, they sign up for it. We create a schedule and things of that nature. In addition to that, I was also creating contracts for adults to not only teach them how to cook meals if they really wanted to, but also like private nights, or they want to do like romantic dinners, things like that. I signed up for them as well. Now, the problem is I started this in 2020. We all know what happened in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a bang, bang moment. And I didn't get a lot of traction at all. I didn't get a lot of service at all. And it shot me down pretty bad. But I also knew at the exact same time that this wasn't over. I just have to come back to it later. So it really just mustered up into bad timing. And so after that stint, because I did it for about 10 months, almost a year, it slowly transitioned into food because people asked about my food services. They see me cooking. They like my food. So then I got catering requests and things of that nature. And now 2.5 years later, I'm still doing those things with the mixture of trying to get products for the first time into convenience stores and things of that nature, which is my ultimate goal is manufacturing. It's not to own a restaurant. It's not to have a food truck. If that comes along, that's great. But financially, I started with just the money in my back pocket, going to college and going to work at the same time. So I didn't have a trust fund or anything like that. So if that comes along with a food truck or a food trailer, great. But my ultimate goal is manufacturing, to get products with my name and my brand out there into stores and to go back to what I did at the beginning, which was cooking classes for the youth, because that's where my ultimate passion lies.
It's amazing, man. You got a lot of plans. Okay, I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
So what made you come up with a plan like this? Like, okay, you talked about a lot there, right? And it is a plan. It's a lot, but it sounds like you have a plan and you have some steps in place. Where are you at on that plan? And what made you come up with this plan?
So maybe come up with this plan is during the 8 years that I was in SPPS and MPS, Minneapolis Public Schools as well. During the times, in the school district where the YMCA, where everything I was part of with children, I was also had years within those 8 years that I was cooking and being a cook or a chef in multiple different restaurants. That stretches further because I got 14 years total of the cooking. And then I have 8 years of the, teaching with the youth. Now, while I was a director of an after school program and a summer school program for Maxfield Elementary, I also had stints where I was teaching literally a cooking class and a health and wellness class with the youth. So I put that class together and I had the structure, how it was going to go down, the activities, things of that nature. And I really, really enjoyed that, even though my title was director. So I had to oversee everything at the same time as well as teaching the class. Well, that's where it was birthed at, because that you have a part of you where it's like we live in a world, especially as men, where we know we have to do things to take care of ourselves and the families that we have. We have a family. You got to handle responsibilities, but we also want to breathe life into your passion as well. And you do your best try not to let either one of those, disseminate over time. So if you could find a healthy balance of both of those, and you could find a activity or a hobby or even a career path that resembles where they cross section at, that's where you'll forever have your fulfillment at. So I knew that I didn't want to just cook my entire life. I didn't want to own a restaurant for my entire life. 'Cause I've been really for a long time. So like, I ate now, I'm only 31. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this in the 55 and 60 because I've seen over the years, and I still see it right now, the people who finally get a restaurant, who finally get a food truck, well, these guys are 55 years old. They're 48 years old. And that's not super old, even in America, you could argue differently. Yeah, I don't want to be towards the fourth quarter of my life just now getting something off the ground. And then I may get to spend the next 10 years, God willing, enjoying that, busting my butt. It's in the same breath that I was doing it back when I was 16, 18, 20 years old. I'm busting my butt at 60, the same way I was at 21. I don't want to do that. So that's how it got started. It started at the schools. I knew I could teach them food and how to cook for themselves because there's power in that. We live in neighborhoods and where they don't always know better, and they don't have the right resources around them to do better. So introducing new foods to them, letting them experience things, expanding their taste buds, telling them about the health benefits to it, the vitamins and nutrients, why it's important to eat these things, expanding their palate at a younger age, it sticks with them, throughout the course of their life. Now, me, I was always a big kid, but I ate a copious amount of different type of things. So I knew that as I got older, I would like all the healthier things because I was eating them at a younger age. I always liked fruit. I always liked vegetables. I always liked salad, exotic fruits, things of that nature that most people don't eat in our neighborhoods to where we come from. So I practice that and I like to teach that. And then you combine that with the knowledge of the science behind it, the nutrients that come with it. And it's a whole new world to explore, and it sticks with you. It practices good structure within those kids who are going to grow up, become teenagers or become adults. And then, you won't have this whole community of people out there that's like, oh, I'm 25 and 30 and I don't know how to cook. And you are trying to put those, things on people about who should be cooking, yada, yada, yada. It's a self-sufficient skill that is beneficial to boy or girl, man or woman. And if you practice those things early, and if you don't just sit up there, we're not trying to have people eating fried chicken and ramen noodles for a steak, not trying to be stereotypical, that's just what it is. And the schools that I work in also did not do enough of exposing them to many different types of fruits and veggies. And some of that stuff was just bad product. And so that's how it started, and it blossomed from there. Long story short, it was a mixture of the school. It was a mixture of cooking at the same time. So I decided to put them together and create a cooking class. It just makes the most sense. I took two passions that I'm really passionate about. I fused them together. And right now, not at that level of fusing them together. But like I said, when I get a little bit older, I'm going to go back to that. Everything else in between is just a journey of experiencing entrepreneurship, experiencing those chapters that I didn't know existed. And like I said, getting into the manufacturing game, creating generational wealth, creating, opportunities for finance. All those things matter to come back and teach the kids when I'm ready again about different avenues. It's not just about science, the food, the science behind it, and the healthy part about it. It could be about the finances, it could be about the money aspect. It can be about taking leadership roles. It could be about entrepreneurship. So I'm doing all the lengthy work so that when I come back to it, I have a copious amount of knowledge and experience to teach the youth, young or old, about everything that I went through so far.
Absolutely. You touched on it a little bit. You mentioned being a director, an entrepreneur, a chef. So do you feel as if your work experience in the past is definitely transferable to anything outside of being a chef or an entrepreneur?
Yes. So for me, obviously, if I wanted to, I can go back to school and I could get a certification and be a licensed teacher. I can, go to nonprofit organizations and continue to be a director for the youth. I could be empowerment coaches, some things like that. With the business side of it and being in food and well versed into it, one of the biggest things that I never touched on yet, even when I went to school, because I went to school for culinary, is marketing. I'm huge on everything that's psychological. At one point, I thought I wanted to be like a psychiatrist, but I honestly, when I heard how many years of schooling you had to go for that, I won't be in school that long for this. But I do love everything about psychology, and psychology plays a huge role in the marketing. Marketing plays a huge role in African American communities, and all boils down to the everyday choices we decide, especially when it comes to food. A lot of it is really centered around marketing. So my skills back then can be transferred to marketing as well. And there's a couple other different areas. So overall, yes.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you a little tough ball questions here.
Hit me.
So when it comes to being a chef, what are some of the harder dishes you had to learn or attempt to make and you failed at it?
Oh, funny enough, I have a Achilles heel for asparagus. I want to love asparagus so bad. I want to eat asparagus so bad. We all know, well, for those who know, when you eat asparagus, that it makes your hair smell really bad. I remember the first time I ate it back in 2020 is the first time having some. And I was like, cool, I always wanted to eat it. And how did I do it? I think I sauteed it, a little lemon, butter, nothing major on the side, ate it. But like, all right, yeah, these ain't that bad. Woo, woo, woo. And I went to the bathroom like an hour later after eating. They nothing bad, and I thought I was sick. I was like, what is this? What is this? Is this me? I thought somebody just used the bathroom. I was at the roommates at the time. So I was like, I was in the bathroom the whole night. No, I was like, what is going on? And I was like, is that me? And I was like, I was freaking out. And I was like, I didn't realize that it did that to you. So, but cooking it is, I don't know what it is. I can't balance it. You can grill asparagus, you can saute asparagus, you can steam asparagus, and it doesn't come out gross. It's just when I see it in pictures, I see it on cooking shows, I'm like, mine don't ever turn out that way, and I can do it perfectly. And I've done the thick cut asparagus, I've done the skinny asparagus. I put them on the grill. It just doesn't seem to matter. And plus, like, I no longer care for the flavor or the smell that it is. So I haven't had too many requests for asparagus. I've had it 2 times in the 3 years that I cooked. One was a wedding, and they turned out really good. They had good flavor, but then it's just like green beans. They don't hold for a very long time. So when they're heated up, you got to eat them right then and there. It's like fish. It's going to be real limp or real soggy. And so asparagus is my Achilles heel. People ask for them. I'm like, I like low-key try to give them like, you want to try some other sides? If you really want that, I have no problem making it for you, but it's not going to hold very long. So other than that, one time somebody catered for their birthday party. They wanted hibachi bowls. It was pineapple bowls. I had like fried rice in it, and then they wanted buffalo chicken, garlic butter steak bites, as well as like fried shrimp. I'm allergic to shellfish. So I knew that my whole life, but I haven't been around shellfish in forever. So I got some shrimp and I was making it for some people, and I was in the kitchen, and like I noticed I was having to go outside to the back door like every 3 minutes. Like, it's getting hard to breathe. Like, what's going on? I'm not burning nothing. And I didn't realize, because this is like, I haven't experienced being around shrimp since I was like 14. Now I'm like 24. So I'm like, I'm cooking them in a skillet naked with just a little bit of seasoning. I didn't realize that the chemicals that was releasing from the shrimp at that time, and I do a large batch of shrimp, was releasing chemicals in the air that was closing my throat. See, I've been in restaurants where I made shrimp scampi, and if you don't know what shrimp scampi is, it's just you cooking them in oil, and then you season the oil, lemon juice, salt, simple. And then when I've had a deep fried shrimp, I never had an effect either. It's nothing. It's just covered. It's bad. But for some reason, cooking shrimp naked closed up my throat, and I'll never forget, because I was almost done. It took me like an hour and a half. I called the guy, and I was like, hey, man, I got your bowls, but I'm running behind. I drove I drove in my Jeep at the time with the plates because it was like a $300 order. And I had the bowls ready. I had the shrimp all up in there. I made the yum yum sauce, all that. Well, now they wanted the whole full on hibachi thing. But I was driving in my Jeep like 10 miles away, windows down, slumped in the seat because I was super weak. And I barely breathed. And I was just like, I'll never forget about that. I was like, no, I'm going to get this money. And yeah, man, that's when I realized I can no longer cook shrimp naked. And so I tell people I have a shellfish allergy. So if they want lobster, shrimp, things of nature, I stay away from it for now because it wasn't worth it, man. I almost had to drive myself to the ER, man. It was bad. But shrimp and asparagus, those are the only two.
That's a crazy story, man. I think when every time I go to the doctor and they ask any allergies, and it's the same practice I go to, and I tell them, none that I know of, and I dawn the day I find out that I do, because that might be the exact situation that might come up to me. And in the moment, like you said, it's like you don't think about it. Things don't click because it's happening so fast. You got other things preoccupying your mind.
Yep,
that's wild. And these are some of the things some chefs don't necessarily think about, have to worry about, and there are allergies that come up later on in life. So you could be interacting with the same thing for the last 20 years, and when you hit 45, 50, all of a sudden you breaking out in hives, your body's reacting to something, you not thinking about it.
Exactly.
It's dangerous.
Yes, I'm not gonna lie. That is my like low-key irrational fear. It's like I love trying new foods, things that I know that I want to try at least. But I have this irrational fear in the back of my mind that's been there for a long time. It's like, what if I try a brand new food one and I'm like, oh man, that's good. And I start breaking out in hives, but my throat start closing, and I'm eating it for the first time. Like when I say I love fruit, I love all type of fruit. The only fruit out there that I don't eat is papaya. It just does something to my stomach. But I'll eat any fruit out there. And like I have this irrational fear, fruit, vegetable, whatever. Well, I don't gamble between a whole lot of different meats out there. And I'm just like, man, what if I eat this star fruit one and I just start itching, But so far, I'm trying to like 25 different exotic fruits and I'm good so far, but that sure won't mess me up for a while, man. But I agree. It does come back to haunt you sometimes.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about entrepreneurship, right? When it comes, because you said you got a catering business going. So we're going to keep the questions very specific to that. I want to talk a little bit about the distributors that you deal with. So how do you get your products? Do you work closely with a company or a store, or do you just go to any store like a Hy-Vee, Cub, Costco? How does that look like for you?
So right now, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't even gotten to that level yet. So I came out with a Popeye. And people are like, Popeye, that's different. Why Popeyes? That's not really a thing that's super popular in our neighborhood, in our community. I did it because, one, we live in Minnesota. 2, it's a long, cold season here. 3, the target audience that I know who likes these are very accessible around where I'm at, no matter where I go. And 4, my goal was you don't have to always reinvent the wheel when you're trying to come up with the product. People can spend a lot of time, even years, trying to come up with a perfect plan that's never been done before. Our market here in America is oversaturated with thousands and thousands of different products. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you can remix it. So everybody knows you can go to the store and find a Marie Callender's or a Banquet Popeye in the freezer section. I just wanted to take that same thing and mixed with the fact that I knew nobody else was touching this right now. And I wanted to add some pizzazz to it. You go to the store, you see a basic Popeye, and that's it. 3 different brands. So I created Popeyes. I have beefy macaroni. I have cheeseburger Popeye. I have a pot roast Popeye that I haven't brought back in a while. But my normal flavors are regular chicken, which are called the North Star. I have one called there's a turkey wild rice Popeye, which is called Minnesota Nice. I have a soul food edition Popeyes. One is called Sunday Dinner. Has slices of seasoned turkey breast in there, macaroni and cheese and yams, all separated. All 3 areas are separated in the Popeye, covered with the crust. The same goes for the Montgomery. I introduced that 2 years ago back in Black History Month. And that Montgomery Popeye has cuts of fried chicken inside, collard greens, slow cut collard greens, and macaroni and cheese inside the Popeye, again, all separated, not mixed together. That's kind of gross, right? And then I have my Luigi Popeye, which is a chicken Alfredo with spinach. And I have my Mario Popeye, to be in the 90s, baby, which is the lasagna Popeye. So I got all those flavors, and I keep them in my freezer. I'll have to go do the inventory. But I've been going to pop-up markets and things like that for about 2 years now with those. And getting to the convenience stores isn't really necessarily an issue. Just for me, unfortunately, I get into my own way of having a calculated plan. So I want to go to the convenience stores that I know they will sell. That's not always going to be perfect in the entrepreneurship world. You might go to a couple of gas stations and they might be sitting there for a very, very, very long time, and things in the freezer don't necessarily expire. But once you see some with some frostbite on it, you be like, nobody's buying that, right? Yeah. So trying to find the right packaging for the Popeye so they don't get smashed is important. Trying to find the right labeling and all that whatnot, because I'm a cottage fruit producer as well, which you need a license for to cook out of your own. That's all important when you're trying to get it to a convenience store, whether it's a gas station, whether it's a corner store on the block, whether it's Target, going to Ivy, things of that nature. Now, the goal is to start small at those convenience stores, and then you go on to introduce yourself to the people at Target or Hy-Vee and things of that nature. And then before you get to that point, because they may make a deal with you, but more importantly, you need to find somebody out there that's going to buy out your product. That's important because they have a manufacturing facility that can manufacture your product at a larger volume. Once you get to a place like a Hy-Vee or Target, you may not sit up there and have volume or the time to create that many products or pieces of product weekly in and out, and then bring it to Target and bring it to Hy-Vee. So you want to make a deal with a manufacturing facility, which I do have a couple of contacts with. I'm just not at that large scale yet to do that. But I am in process now completing my application so I can bring it to the St. Paul Farmers Market for this upcoming fall season. So that's where I'm at with that right now, if I answered your question correctly.
You did. You did. And just for a little short question, the St. Paul Farmers Market, the only farmers market I'm aware of is the one out of Minneapolis right off of 94. Where's this one?
Oh, the one right off of Osamora Highway?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the Minneapolis Farmers Market, 200 Lindale Avenue East. The St. Paul Farmers Market it used to be downtown. Oh, man, I'm really going to forget the street. I'm such a lamb.
Is that the one by the baseball stadium?
Yes, there's one right there. But I think, I haven't guaranteed it yet, but lately all the St. Paul Farmers Markets that's been happening for the last 4 or 5 months have been taking place inside the Union Depot. And I think and hope they permanently move that inside the Union Depot all the way into the winter season. Because if you go to the ones in the wintertime right next to the baseball stadium, it's not bad. There's fires lit, there's heat. It's not cold down there, even if it's a brisk day. But you do have to make a commitment to be there every single weekend. And the market opens at 6 a.m., which means you probably need to be up about 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. And then it ends at 1. So that's a long morning, especially when it's cold. You're already out. You ain't going to see the sun for a while. So that's where the St. Paul Farmers Market is located, partially at the Union Depot, but also right there by the St. Paul baseball, the same stadium.
So when you get in, you're saying you're going to be inside the depot or you're going to be on the one outside?
Not know yet. I've had to research a little bit more. Like I said, these spring and summer markets have been happening inside the Union Depot. So they may have made a switch to do that over there, or it may be a mixture of both. I have to see which one. For my sake, because the winter time, I hope I get to be inside because that's way more doable for a lot of people than being out there for 7 hours. Excuse me, you know what I mean? And in the cold, even though it's pretty warm over there, it's still, And I got Popeyes, which come frozen, so I'm worried about the product. It's just about being out there in the curl. Absolutely early in the morning, you know what I mean? I don't care who you are, you're going to be like, so.
Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. We really appreciate it. A special shout out to Green Screen Studios here in St. Paul, Minnesota. Listen, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you can direct message us either on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. It's always going to be chocolate_espresso_. listen, we really appreciate you. I said it once, I said it twice. I'm going to say it 1 billion times if that's what it takes. If you guys want to reach out to us, especially if you know anyone or if maybe you want to be interviewed about your job, the goal is to really teach a lot of youth about the different opportunities that are available to them. College is great. It's always going to be great. Not everybody wants to go to college, or maybe college just isn't on the table right now. So I want to push as much content that pertains to jobs and jobs that may or may not require college. Maybe you just need to network. Maybe you just got to put a lot of work into the beginning as an entry-level person. But, you know, I really look forward to producing as many interviews as I can and posting it. I appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.